They're sick people, not criminals.
We've gone beyond that question, Your Majesty.
They're my citizens, and we will save them from the plague if we can. All of them.
Very well.
We will not speak of this again.
Mother, Corvo is back.
Thank you, Emily. Leave us, please.
As you wish, Your Majesty.
Hey guys, Metal Jesus here, and wow, that was kind of funny. I kind of paused for a moment there. I was like, who is this? What am I doing? Oh yeah, that's right. I am talking about Dishonored. This is running on the new Xbox Series X in glorious 4K. And also you'll notice that it is pumping out 60 frames per second using that new Microsoft technique of basically increasing the frame rate without requiring any work from the developers. That's a neat little trick that they've been doing on a lot of these older games to kind of spiff them up a little bit and bring them more into the modern age. So I originally played this game back probably in 2012, maybe 2013. I was pretty excited for it when it first was announced, because a lot of people are like, wow, this is going to be the spiritual successor to games like Thief. And I've mentioned it before, but I am a huge fan of stealth in video games, especially stealth that is done right. And this game has all of the elements that I absolutely love about that. It is a joy to play this game for many reasons. Now, it originally came out on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. Then there were kind of ports, or I don't know if they weren't necessarily remasters or anything, but basically it also came out on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. And then what happened was Microsoft bought Bethesda, and along with that they bought Arcane Studios, which made this game, and they just recently released all of these games for people who have Game Pass. And so that's where I was like, man, it's been far too long since I played this, so I was eager to jump back into it, and I was not disappointed. So what's going on here? Well, as you can see, this is a 19th century London. I don't think it's actually London, because if I'm trying to remember right, it's fictitious. You are in a city called Dunwall, but basically it's based on, that Victoria era London. You play as Corvo, who is a bodyguard to the Empress. And in the beginning there, you saw that she was assassinated and her child was kidnapped, and Corvo, your character, is to blame. Well, very quickly, within the first couple minutes of this game, you realize that no, there is actually a big conspiracy against the Empress, and they want you to take the fall. They actually were going to execute you, but you got out of there thanks to some freedom fighters that are trying to help you. Now, what's interesting about this game is that, yes, it is a stealth game, but it has an element of science fiction or fantasy in here. And I think that's part of its appeal. If you've played the original Thief games, they may look like that they are just simple medieval Thief games, but actually there is an element of fantasy in there as well. It's actually fairly strong. And so I was really happy that they brought their own version to this. And so I'm not going to show it in this gameplay footage here, but there's a level early on where you meet this guy. I believe he's called the Outsider. And essentially he is like this, I'm not entirely sure what he is, but he's like this godlike character that exists out of time and space. And he actually takes you into a level and gives you powers to start you off with basically this kind of blinking or teleportation ability here, where you can teleport to different parts of a level that you can see. And it basically changes up the game completely and makes this very unique feeling. And so the story of this game is kind of an interesting one, because I believe that when they first started developing this, or maybe had the idea for it, they were going to make a fairly traditional linear kind of stealth game based, somewhat on, how Thief played. But what they discovered was that when they added some of these early powers to your character, that the play testers and the beta testers were doing very interesting things to almost kind of break the level or solve puzzles in ways that the developer hadn't originally expected. And, normally in game development, the people who are designing it have a very clear vision as to what they want to do. And so a lot of times when that happens, and I know this from experience, the developers will try to fix that. They will try to stop players from quote unquote breaking their game. What's interesting about this game is that they embrace that. And so what they decided to do during the development of this is actually rework the levels and the story to fit the ability for gamers to really kind of think outside the box and use the powers to solve levels and missions in ways that maybe the developers had never thought of. And so in some ways, this game is kind of a sandbox game where you will go online and you will watch gameplay footage of people who are super into this game, who will do crazy stuff to get through it. And it's so interesting. And also people are discovering new solutions to levels and missions all the time. This is just an absolutely unique game, and it's an absolute joy to play. Now, I wonder, though, watching this kind of gameplay, if it's as exciting as it is to play it, because when you're playing this, you're doing some puzzle solving and you get stuck. You'll see that I get stuck in this section here where coming up where these rats are on the floor and I need to get the door open, but every time I jump down, they try to eat me. There's these dead bodies laying around and I'm not entirely sure what to do. I feel like I know what to do. I feel like I need to use the bodies to distract the rats, but it takes me a second or two to kind of figure that out. That's the kind of game that this is. It's not always like that, but definitely in the beginning when you're kind of trying to figure out the mechanics and what you can do, you may get stuck, and so hopefully you as a viewer don't get too bored with the gameplay footage. The other thing that happens to me in these games, and it happens to me in a lot of stealth games, is that I'll eventually get just kind of not really annoyed, but I'll start rushing too much. Because, when it comes to stealth games, it is all about kind of waiting, trying to plan your attack, being patient. And so what happens is I often get impatient, and that's where my downfall lies, is that I'll get impatient towards the end of a level, start rushing towards the exit, and mess myself up, screw over the mission. So that's just one of those things I know about me, and how I play these games, but I still love them though. I keep coming back to them time and time again. And so that's my initial thoughts on going back and playing Dishonored again. I forget where I'm at in this game. I haven't included all of the footage here. I actually trimmed out some stuff, and I'm actually further along than this video is going to show. But, again, it's just one of those things. That's why I love Game Pass, because I already own this game on several different systems, and it's cool to get it on Game Pass and just go back and again get it in 4K running at a really smooth resolution, kind of rediscover some of my favorite games. It's almost like your favorite movie, you know what I mean, where you go back and it's been maybe 5-10 years or so, you haven't played something, you haven't watched a movie in a while, it's one of your favorites, and you go back and you're like, oh man, this is why I love this game so much. So this game is, again, I could gush about it forever. Also, I really, really like the sequel as well. The sequel is cool because you actually get to play as 2 different characters, and so the gameplay and the story changes slightly. Also, your powers change a little bit as well. So if you haven't played Dishonored 1 or 2, if you have Game Pass, there is no excuse. You should definitely play it now, because it's the best that it's ever looked and it's ever ran.
Temporarily escaped state custody. Several brave officers of the state are dead by his hand. He is to be captured or killed at any cost.
Won't get past me, sir.
Do you know who we're hunting here? Don't try to take him out alone.
But what if no one from the squad is around?
Then try to make a lot of noise when you die. Knock something over if you can.
Bastard. Responsible for the murder of our fair Empress and the disappearance of Lady Emily, heir to the throne, has temporarily escaped state custody.
Over here. I'm Samuel, and I work for some good people who want very much to meet you. They said you'd come out here. I could still hardly believe it. I'll take you to meet them. Just down the river from here.
I hear the second day is when the skin really starts to come all the way off. Is that true? Or is it the itching that really gets you? Or the rats?
Jasper, isn't it? It's not so bad in here. What a sight you are in that mask. I know who you are and what you're here to do. And I can help. Unlock me and I'll buy you a drink in a couple of days. By the Void, I'll buy you 100 drinks. Poor circulation, and I seem to have forgotten my mittens, so I'd appreciate it if you could release me or at least go gather some firewood. You never appreciate the fine masonry of Dunwall's cobblestones until you've had your face hanging over them for days on end. Feels good to stand up straight. Thank you, Corvo. What you're here to do tonight is of the highest importance. We've got to find Emily, so kill Campbell and make it quick. Once it's done, search his body for the journal, his notorious black book, and get out of there. Campbell is meeting with a guard named Kerr now, and word from my informant is that Campbell is going to poison him. Maybe you can use that to your advantage. Alright, I won't be of any help here, so I'll make my own way back to the Hound Pits pub. If I see Samuel the boatman, I'll tell him to pick you up in the backyard, behind the office of the High Overseer. May all the spirits guide you, and may our enemy's head hit the floor without you taking a scratch.
I was just reading in the archive about the Heretic's brand. It sounds painful. Have you ever seen the ritual?
I've never seen the Heretic's brand used. No, it's a rare occurrence. But I did spy the face of one so branded. A former member of our order, of course. Out on a retreat, we passed through a fishing town and saw him begging.
What were his crimes?
Who can say? The brand is reserved for an overseer, or even the High Overseer himself, who violates our codes and must be cast out permanently. Remember the 7 strictures, and you never need worry about such matters.
I will, brother.
Think you'll get your own squad after what happened last night? Indeed, I believe so.
Wait.
Should we gather for whiskey and cigars tonight?
Never doubt it.
Do not let your keen eyes wander tonight, boy. There's word of bad men about. Here's a good boy. Good boy, Justice. Settle down, man. It's only me, Boreal's daughter. Mudden District and all the rest of them. So it's just me tonight. What? Don't look at me like that.
giggle, and that's radder, isn't it? How are you, boys? You miss your poor brother? You're worth a dozen guards, each of them. You've still got the taste of that weeper on your tongue, haven't you? That's right.
The outsider himself has these 5 attributes by which he hopes to defeat the righteous. He is patient, for he waits every hour and every minute.
Once they are brought here, they never leave. The overseers always find the guilt they seek.
Is having trouble holding the side streets.
Bunch of children.
Where have the overseers gone? They wade through chest-high waters with their hounds.
very concerned about her.
She'll be fine. My men are searching district by district.
The poor girl.
Callista's a resourceful one. Probably found our safe place to hole up in all this chaos.
If my overseers hear any word, I'll come straight to you. Time for drinks. I hope you won't refuse. Please pass on the quicker. Locked? One of the servants must have been in here. Let me see. It seems I have the wrong one. Not that one. No. Ah, here we are. Now if you'll join me. Men will come get you when we're finished. Keep each other entertained in the meantime.
I don't understand how this got so unpleasant.
Oh, I agree. A whore dies and suddenly this. Will you have wine? It's a Tivian Red.
Thank you.
Now, to business. What would you say happened last night?
To be honest, I'm not even sure. My men, your overseers, a few whores, maybe a little too much ale. One harmless prank with a runaway chick.
This meeting is taking far too long. We should go in and tell Kurnow there's important business. Get him out of Campbell's clutches.
Boredom won't kill our captain. We can wait a bit longer.
I've had enough waiting. I'm going. Shit, someone's dead. Can't stay hidden forever.
Shit! Someone's dead! A body! I'll find you, you hagfish. Damn it!
Someone's down. I know you're here. Ah, nice shit, digger. Huh?
Please, she's my sister. She's not a witch. I know her.
Out of the way. You expect preferential treatment just because you are her brother?
Someone's over there.
You appeared as if from nowhere. We would both be dead if not for you.
We are forever in your debt. I cannot thank you enough.
I must get my sister to safety. But first, I may know of a way to thank you. There's a safe in the bunkhouse. The combination is 203. Take what you want, and good luck.
pay for this.
Get yourself out.
Come out. We both know you're weak at heart. Shout if you see him.